Devin White, and this is the Human Operating System. And I talk a lot here about being at your best and tools and techniques and ways for you to access what we call your default. This way where you have come to rest inside of yourself and you're at your best. And someone recently posed the question, they said, well, isn't there something else besides just being at your best? And I wanted to address it because it's one of the things that makes the Human Operating System unique, and it's one of the things that makes the lineage from which I come unique, which is that we're not talking about just one fundamental state. We are talking about, first, the ability to come to rest inside of yourself, and that's the way that you were born to be. That you were born to be well-formed and operating at your best, but that you are also part of a larger system, something greater than yourself, that's constantly feeding signals into you and through you, that's endlessly giving you directional input as to where to go and how to hold your attention, in order for you to move with the least amount of friction in your life and tune in to what it is you're here to do, so that you can do it in a way that makes sense and it's actually easy. There's a lot less trying than most people seem to think is involved in success, in having the life that they want. And early on there was a pivotal book for me. It was by Clive Barker, and in the book at the beginning there's this guy named Randolph Jaffe, and Randolph finds himself opening letters in the dead letter office at a post office at what is, in the book, the postal heart of America, which is in Nebraska. So letters that crisscross the country back and forth for days, weeks, sometimes months, but never find their home, ultimately end up in the dead letter office here in Nebraska. And it's Randolph Jaffe's sole job to open these letters and find the treasures within. And what they want him to do is open them and find treasures which are, money or jewels or precious gems that they can all share in the booty. And what ends up happening is, day in and day out, as he's callousing his hands and opening all of these letters, he starts to find a treasure that's much deeper, much more valuable to him than gems or jewels or coins and copper. And what he finds is that there are secret messages of a sort. There's an insane rambling from some madman in New York. There's a philosophical treatise of a genius in California. There's inspired poetry from people who don't know what it is that they're supposed to do with this information that's coming through them, so they have to just put it out to somewhere to just express it because they need to. And it's all coming here, and while each of them only has a glimpse, Randolph Jaffe is opening them all and finding the way that they all weave together. And he's discovering what he ends up calling the great and secret show. And it's occurring endlessly, just beneath the surface of reality. And as he taps in and tunes in to this everyday magic that's just beneath the surface, that's just beyond being visible and yet is endlessly feeding us signals, he begins to be able to move with the universe. He begins to be able to sense currents around him and harness these energies, and he becomes a force where he just begins to think things and they happen. It's as though he has a thought and someone shows up to deliver the boon of whatever he had just been thinking. He wants to go somewhere and the car arrives that will pick him up. He needs money and suddenly he wins the lottery. And it's as though he's tuned in and the universe begins to feed into him those things that he needs and wants. To me, we're part of a community that's putting those pieces together. We're part of a community where, if you read some of the comments on the blog, if you go to other blogs and you read the comments, it's, a lot of times people doing self-promotion and, come and look at my thing. And here a lot of the comments are indicative of the kind of community and the kind of people who are watching these videos, who are interested in being at their best and tapping into this larger system. And it's a community of people who are dedicated to being at their best and to seeing the best in others and supporting them being that way as well. And they're people who are reading the deeper signals. We have an endless flow of media that is bombarding us with signals about what we should think. And if you pay attention, most of them are about fear. Most of them are about stimulating our animal brain so that we get into this constant flurry of fight or flight or freeze. And yet, the people in this community are tapping into the deeper signals. They're reaching down and paying attention to the source, to the great and secret show, and learning how to weave this art so that together we begin creating a different kind of reality. And tonight I just wanted to say how privileged I feel to be part of this community and to have you coming and watching these videos, and I wanted to say thank you for that, and that there is another state and it is absolutely critical, and we even have a symbol for that state. When we want to remind ourselves that there is this larger system which we can tap into at any moment, all we need to do is see this symbol and it reminds us to put our attention there, to just let go and open to the connection and to the great and secret show that together we are weaving. I'm looking forward to a really profound 2011. I'm Devin, this is the Human Operating System.